Hello and welcome to the first workshop series of our Parent Connection. This workshop series is labeled The Importance of Logging On, Contact, Connectivity, Relationships, and Participation. My name is Olivia Martinez and I'm the Manager of School Support for Trenton Public Schools. While virtual learning definitely hasn't been a walk in the park for many of us, you guys should all give yourselves a round of applause because you have made it to the end of the first month of school. While everyone is probably still adjusting and trying to get into a rhythm that works best for you and your family, we're going to be talking about some virtual learning tips and tricks and pointers about communication and relationships and how important attendance is, even though we are not physically in the classroom at this time. I'll also be sharing some community resources that may be a help for you, as this time can be extremely overwhelming. So some helpful tips. First is definitely having a designated space. Desks might be in a shortage around the area right now, but it doesn't mean that you don't have the opportunity to spice up your child's learning environment. While it may seem easier to let your child stay in their room and work from their bed, doing schoolwork from such a comfortable area definitely decreases the child's motivation and the productivity. I know for myself, working from home, I need to be able to get up, I need to be able to get dressed and find an area where I can do my work so that I can give my best effort, right? So keeping other devices out of the schooling area is also super important. We want to be able to mimic the classroom space as best as possible. So if your child were to be at school during a normal day, they wouldn't be allowed to have their cell phones, they wouldn't be watching TV, they wouldn't be playing with toys or listening to music, playing video games. So we want to be able to create that same environment within our homes as well. Being at home while learning is already a really big adjustment for our kids, so we want to be able to bring that school environment into our homes as best as we can. Having a designated area for learning is also super helpful if you have multiple siblings in the home. You want to be able to keep them all in their designated little areas so that they can be able to focus on specifically what they're learning. And then while I know not everybody is able to have their own space or have the means to have a separate room for their schoolwork, there are a lot of different ways that you can make a small area seem like an at-home classroom, and there are tons of ways to be able to get really creative. Here we see a few different examples that you can use within your own home to really mimic a classroom area, using the kitchen table as a designated workspace, or even just having a decorated pencil box or just a container with their school materials next to their Chromebook has the potential to really encourage hard work. In the first picture, you guys see a 3D board, and something like that is super easy to find and is generally inexpensive. It's also a really great way to section off space, especially if you have multiple children learning at the same time. It can also be a great opportunity to have an afternoon craft together, have your child decorate his or her board to create their own designated space, really have them feel like they're connected to their little area. Also, don't be afraid to switch it up, right? So if you can take your workspace outside, if you can take it into the backyard or the front porch, if your child has independent reading they need to get done, maybe let them have their workspace and lounge out on the living room floor just to switch up the scenery. Our kids are really used to venturing out into different classrooms. They're used to going to the cafeteria, the gym, they're used to recess. So trying to switch it up at home can keep them alert and refreshed. You also can do things like using workspace in their bedroom as an incentive. So if they had a really great week and on Friday they've completed all their assignments and they were to school on time, maybe you let them do their work on Friday from their bedroom instead. So the next tip that we have is creating a schedule. This is really, really important, and it can be a lifesaver for you guys and really help the day move smoother. I know for me as an adult, I'm constantly adding things to my calendar. I usually have Post-its all over my office so I don't miss anything, and it's a really easy way for me to stay organized. For kids, this can be just as helpful, right? For younger kids in particular, they really thrive and need structure in place. So just like in school, establishing a schedule can be helpful to keep students on track each day. For elementary students, creating a visual schedule is really important. It's a constant reminder of things that need to be accomplished. Reviewing it at the beginning of the day keeps the information fresh, and by the end of the week, they'll probably be reciting the schedule to do instead. Schedules can include things like bedtime, wake-up time, tasks that need to be completed in the morning, such as brushing teeth and changing into school clothes, the subject and special schedule for the day, and assignments that need to be completed, as well as meal time. Building in breaks is also something that I really encourage, not only for students, but as well as parents. It's also extremely important for students who have learning and attention struggles. Getting outside during breaks if you can is really awesome, or if you can't get outside, having a dance party in the living room, just a way to get those ants out of the pants. Physical activity during breaks is a great way to increase problem solving, memory, and improve attention. When creating your schedules, I really encourage you guys to try to incorporate your child's input. Having them feel a part of the process can encourage commitment to following the schedule. For example, if math might be a tougher subject for your student, asking them if they prefer to get their math assignments out of the way first thing in the morning, or if they prefer to leave it for the end of the day, is something that you can incorporate. Here are some basic examples of schedules that you guys can incorporate. It's just another way to really be able to get creative with your child. It can be as simple as this first picture here with just writing it on a piece of paper, or you can get a little bit fancier and find a poster board. You can have your child decorate it so that it's colorful and it stands out. It can be posted in a common area so that they're looking at it every day. But you can also do something like a whiteboard, which is a great way to be able to alter the schedule each and every day. Though our older kids probably won't be decorating fancy poster boards to be decorating the house, they can use things like a calendar or a planner or a digital planner in order to keep their classes organized. Setting expectations is really crucial and also another way to help your day run smoother, right? So teachers have expectations of assignments, how they should be completed, and how behavior should be during video meets. So you as parents, while you're at home, should also have expectations for your students. Creating expectations to follow at home and going over them each day would be super helpful and keeps the day running smooth for you guys, right? So if you're at home alongside your child, you're working, they're working, are there times where you shouldn't be interrupted, right? Are there specific activities that you want them to engage in when you guys have downtime? Are they allowed to have TV time and video game time when they're not meeting with their class? Do you want them to have a time when there's just complete quiet time? They have time where they need to have independent reading that they need to get done daily. Do you want them to do household chores after they've completed their schoolwork? Do they need to help you prepare themselves for the next day? Is there a specific time that you want to be able to go over assignments with them, right? These are just things that you can implement in your own homes. And remember, visualization is everything. So sitting down with your child, talking it as a team, writing it down, just so that there's no confusion and everyone is on the same page. Remember, don't be afraid to encourage your child about these expectations each day. Okay, so being prepared. Sounds super easy, but if your child was going to be reporting to a physical classroom each day, you would be sure that they had their book bag, their homework completed, their uniform would be ready, and anything that they needed for the next day would be ready to go. So you can do the same thing for virtual school, making sure that your assignments are completed, Chromebooks are all charged up, school supplies are in one spot next to the Chromebook, or at least in a designated workspace, prevents the student from scrambling and looking for things while they're already signed on with their class. It's also super important to remember that in virtual school, literally everyone can see and hear everything that is happening in each other's homes. And these things can definitely be distracting to the rest of the class. So if you've got other people running around or talking in the background, if there's TVs going on, loud music, people coming in and out of the house, you're not only disrupting the class, but you're also disrupting the teacher who has instruction going on. So we have to be super mindful and respectful with our classmates and our teachers while we navigate this time together. Displaying a job well done. Keeping the students encouraged is super crucial during this time, and working from home is so different, but something so small as posting work on the wall, posting stuff on the fridge, it helps them keep their motivation spark alive, right? So when people come in, you're pointing out what a great job they did, and it really helps them to make them feel proud about what they've been doing in school. Although it sounds really cliche, making learning fun is a great way to keep things exciting, not only for your kids, but also for you, right? Working from home all day, doing virtual school is really exhausting, but we actually have a lot of extra time right now to hopefully make some new memories and engage in activities that we haven't been able to have time for before. So using creative ways to reinforce learning, such as using cereal or a fun treat as math manipulatives to help solve problems and learn new techniques, and then you guys can indulge in a snack together after all the work is done. You can also do something like letting your child help you in the kitchen and learn about their fractions by measuring the right amount of an ingredient in a recipe. You also have a lot of resources at your fingertips. There are so many things online that you can tap into, and you can find fun and easy science experiments that you guys can do while you're at home. So some quick tricks. Something that I strongly believe in and that I hope that you guys also do is that when in doubt, Google it. If you guys have been learning something in virtual school and you're not sure about and you need a refresher, you can always look for a lesson on YouTube. There are so many different videos that professionals and parents have created in order to help one another. So YouTube is a really awesome resource that you can hack into. There are definitely some things that on YouTube that you can use to help make your experience a little bit easier. So if you're somebody who needs to follow along and have captions at the bottom, you can go right here to this little icon at the bottom right, the CC icon, and you can turn on closed captions so that you can read along. You also can use something that's called the playback speed. So if you're looking for a lesson online and it's going too fast and you want to slow it down so you can see step by step how to do things, you can go here to the settings icon and you can click on playback speed, and there are various different speeds that you can choose in order to slow the lesson down, speed it up, however it works for you. There's also something that you can do if English is not your first language. I know that videos can be super intimidating if you're not able to understand what is going on, but there is a solution that you guys can use. So what you would do is you would turn on your closed captions. After you turned on your closed captions, you would select the settings icon right here, and it would take you to subtitles. Once you've turned on your subtitles, you would click on auto translate right down here, and then you'll be able to scroll through a whole bunch of different languages that are available to you and select whichever one is best. So while the video will definitely still play in whatever language it was recorded in, you guys will be able to follow along with the subtitles in a different language. A couple of other tricks that I have for you guys. So you're able to enable a weekly summary on Google Classroom. Parents and guardians can receive weekly emails about upcoming assignments, missing assignments, class activities, and projects. If these are not notifications that you've been receiving in your email, you can reach out to your classroom teacher and she's able to turn on that for you in your portal. Another tip that I have for you guys is if you're not familiar with the Parent Connect on the district's website, it's its own little page that holds a lot of different resources that can be helpful for you during this time. There's information such as Google Classroom tutorials, there's a community resource guide, there is directions on how to set up your Parent Power School portal, which is somewhere that you can go to be able to see attendance, you can retrieve your report card, you can see assignments that are coming up or that have not been submitted, and then you can also see your school's parent liaison's contact information on this Parent Connect page. And there are definitely a lot of other resources that can be helpful to you. Communication and relationships. So our students might not be voicing much about the pandemic and affecting them, how virtual learning is going, or how much that this has changed their social lives, but it's definitely something that they are experiencing and they are feeling. So some simple communication with them can help them to help you to better understand where they are. So I really encourage you guys to check in with your child daily, talk over lunch or dinner about how distance learning is going, asking questions like what is their toughest subject, what's their easiest, asking them if they need any support from you. Is there maybe an assignment that they need some extra help with? There's some supplies that they don't have that they know that they're going to need? If today didn't go that well, is there something that you can do tomorrow to make it better? These are just some basic questions that you guys can have, and that can help you guys fill the gaps that you might be experiencing. And then just as it's important to communicate about your child's well-being, keeping in contact with the teacher and the school staff is really critical, and it's the best way to stay on top of schoolwork and the progress that your child is making. I really encourage trying to set up weekly check-ins with your student's teacher. And remember, you guys are learning coaches right now, so your child is really leaning on you to have answers and to give them support and to help them advocate for themselves. So simple techniques like using email, text, or phone, if that's an option with your classroom teacher, using video conferencing, and using Class Dojo are just a few methods to increase communication. And then it's always really important to remember that we need to have flexibility with one another. We need to give each other grace. Our teachers are not only learning virtual learning with you, but they're also helping other parents with virtual learning. So let's just try to have patience with one another and remember that we're definitely all in this together. And then don't be afraid to ask questions, right? Your teacher has had so many years of training. This is what they do. They know how the curriculum flows, and they can really help put things into perspective for you and help explain assignments that you may be having trouble with. Modeling communication is a really great way to show your child how to engage with their teacher, and it's a way to encourage them to advocate for themselves. The more they feel comfortable asking questions and speaking up, the less confusion they're going to have, and they're going to have less questions later on. And then hopefully when they return to class in person, they're feeling just as encouraged to ask questions and to advocate for themselves. Being present and on time definitely has a positive impact. When your child is present and attending each day, they feel prepared and they feel connected not only to what they're learning, but they feel connected to their school environment, to their teacher, and to their classmates. Practicing good attendance habits now not only impacts them in their school years, but trickles down later when they're in their adulthood and they're expected to arrive to work every day. So there is help available. On top of our social interactions being limited, many of us are working from home, or we're struggling to having to report to work and managing children who are not able to attend school in person. We're engaging in virtual learning, and we're also living through a pandemic that none of us have experienced before. We are seeing social uprising around our country as we fight racism, and each day we are growing closer to a much anticipated presidential election. You are not alone in your feelings of anxiety, and it is 100% natural to be feeling really overwhelmed. But there definitely are resources in our area, and most mental health agencies are providing virtual experiences now, so it makes it a lot easier to have access to. So listed here are just a few services that have 24-hour support. Perform Care is something that is geared specifically towards children and adolescents. NJ Hopeline is counseling provided over the phone 24/7, and it can be for both you and your children. And then the Jewish Family and Children's Services of Greater Mercer County is a comprehensive mental health center. They are also engaging in virtual experiences right now, but they are also offering a parent support group via Zoom on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. and pre-registration can be found on the company's website. And then if you feel like this isn't enough and you guys need more options, you can visit the Parent Connect page that we spoke about earlier, and there is a more comprehensive list available to you guys. While it might not have every service option available in our area, it's a great place to start and has choices for a variety of needs. It also identifies agencies that offer support in various languages. Thank you all so much for your time, and I hope that I have been able to provide you with some helpful knowledge.